Oh, your triggers are your friend. I think I'm going to do a whole podcast on it. Your triggers are your best friends and you're running from them. And I know it's scary and I know it's uncomfortable and you don't always want to do it by yourself, right? But the reality is your triggers are there to teach you and they are exposing what you don't want to face, right? Because think about this. It's always, and it's good for your vibrational energy, right? So when you stay in a victim mindset, why? Again, I was the professional of the victim mindset through my teenage years, early 20s. But if you're staying in that victimhood, you're going to remain there and your vibration will never grow. You don't get to be in a victim mentality and then get great stuff. Like that's not, those two things don't work from a vibrational perspective. So it's scary because it's much easier to say, it was my childhood. It was because of this. I did. It's all this person or this situation. That is a reason. That ventures into an excuse, right? Well, this is how I was raised. I understand, but you're here now, right? You're here today. And what the triggers do is it exposes a wound. It's supposed to hurt. They're supposed to hurt. They're supposed to be triggering, right? So think of what a wound is in general. Say there's a cut on your hand. You get salt in it. Okay. You get salt in your wound or something. And you're like, oh my God, this hurts so bad. Well, guess what that salt's doing actually? It's actually cleaning it out. Or even if you put some alcohol in it, you're like, oh my God, this hurts so bad. It hurts, but you got to hurt to heal. Right. So people don't realize you resist the hurting, but you got to hurt to heal. You got to hurt to heal. You got to bring it to the forefront. You've got to allow it to be exposed in order to heal it. And the thing is it's so much easier to say them, this, them, this, they, them, this. All you're doing is putting a Band-Aid on the wound, but it's infected. It's gross. Now it hurts. Now you're getting now it's carrying into other things. Now that infection has spread through your body. Like all of these things have happened. So when you are facing your triggers, they are talking to you. You got to do the 5 journals. I promise you, if you're consistent with it, you will get a lot out of it. Because the reason that there's 5, and if you go to there's a video series here on YouTube. And if you go to it, it's the 5 journal series. And what it does is it allows you to differentiate through each journal. Okay. And it allows you to separate it because again, you think of a trigger. This guy did blank. It's a trigger. It's not the source, right? You have a trigger, not the source. So what the trigger does is it goes, hey, now there's something going on deeper, but you don't always see that. You always go, well, yeah, it's my dad's fault. No, now you're diverting. So you go, okay, what is this showing me? Well, it's showing me that I don't know that I trust people. Okay. All right, we got to go deeper than that. That's still another trigger. So you remember your wounds can have multiple layers and they can have different contributing factors. So when you understand that each wound carries something deeper and it can spider out, it gives you more and more incentive to heal, which is why the process is lifelong. Healing is not fast. It's not going to be. No, I don't care how much you rush it. But each wound starts to spider out, right? And as the wounds start to spider out, you're like, oh, well, wow, I didn't even realize that was an issue. So you might start out as like, this guy, I don't trust this guy. And you might end up to going, because my mom made me eat spaghetti when I didn't like spaghetti. And you're like, why does that have anything to do with it? Because you'll start to see where it all goes. Your life is not as complex as you make it. None of us. We all make our lives more complex than it needs to be. Essentially, if you dig down to the root of the issues, they're really just a few things. But just like a tree, they start to grow and they start to hold and they start to spiral. And then you take this path and then, okay, maybe that doesn't work. So then this creates other problems, which creates that big tree. The problem is you don't like to get to the root because you're like, oh, this sucks here. Yeah, well, baby, you ain't going to heal it unless you feel it. And you're going to have to go back and you're going to have to feel that. And then you have to go back and you're going to have to feel that. And each one of those things, you're not going to go from here to here in the root. Nope. You're not going to be like, well, this is the problem here. You're going to go, this is the problem here. Whoa. Oh my God. We're on another branch before you ever get here. You may never fully get to the root for years. You might get there tomorrow. There's no set way. But the more that you just live up here in the leaves, the worse it's going to be for you, because this is where you're angry. This is where you're stressed. The reality is you're doing that to yourself. You are doing it to yourself. Don't care if you want to hear it. You're going to hear it. Okay. You're doing this to yourself. And so when you understand that you're doing it to yourself, what's the beauty to that? You can stop. Isn't that great? Like, you don't have to give this to this person, the husband, the father, the mother, the coworker, the boss. Oh my God, look at that. If you're allowing that to happen, you can unallow it. But you can't unallow it when you're still operating from up here on the surface. You gotta feel it. Let it feel out of control. Let it feel hopeless at times. But remember that this is part of the journey. You're gonna have to go. Remember, it's just like a wave. Oh man, sometimes things suck. Ride that wave. Ride that wave. So one of the first things that they teach you about anxiety, right? When you're having an anxiety attack, you never fight that. You fight it, baby. You're going to keep it going. It could be days, weeks, months, years. No, you let it come. Yes, it feels like shit. Yes, it feels like you're going to die. Yes, it feels like all of those things. Sure. But what you have to understand is that this and this alone is something that you have got to work on. And when you understand that, it's going to be easier for you to accept your journey. And that's why, no, not a lot of people can stay on your journey. Because if you're over here and you're feeling something and you're really raw, well, you're going to project that onto somebody else because you don't like how you feel, because you feel bad. So you're going to want somebody to fix that. Well, that's not their job. So sometimes you're going to have to take this journey alone. Other times, like on my journey, my husband is great, but I also it kept him on the outer rim of my actual healing. I didn't have to discuss with him everything that I was going through and what I was saying. So the time we spent together, it wasn't just like a dumping ground in another therapy session. So that's where you have to have the emotional maturity to understand this is your journey. They don't have to like that journey. They don't have to like that journey, and they don't have to stay on it. Either your choice for them not to stay on it or theirs. But it's something that you have got to understand, because you keep worrying about the marriage, which is the immediate. I'm not telling you not to worry about it, but that's not the issue. It's here and 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 here. And you might find it is a very crazy spider web. It's almost like a crime scene board where it's like, oh, this person's connected to this. And you have all those red strings. That's you. But even that is too light for you. So the next time you go to avoid a trigger, you have to remember you will never get to the root of it because you're too worried about not feeling okay. So if you're ready to do the work, you can always call me. I see people all over the world, but call somebody. It's not your family's job to fix it. No. And you can't always do it by yourself. But until you're ready to feel it, until you're ready to hurt, you're never going to be ready to heal.